Hello.
Hi, hello everyone. How are you today? It has been such a long time that we haven't met each other just because of Christmas time and also New Year holiday. But I'm very excited to meet you today with a new topic, the magic power of humor. Humor can change lives and relationships. And in this live stream session, corporate trainer, keynote speaker, and comedian Stephen helps us better understand why we and how we use humor in our everyday lives to protect, to attack, to connect, and to distract. He goes on to explain how humor can be used strategically in the workplace to help relieve tension, shift perspectives, bring people together, and work more effectively and provide tips and tricks for both evaluating and exploring your humor skill set. Mr. Stephan, he was originally from Costa Rica. Stephan is an award-winning bilingual comedian, keynote speaker, and corporate leadership and communication trainer, leaving his executive position in the Vancouver in 2017 to pursue his professional career in stand-up comedian. He successfully co-founded Marathon Central, a bilingual comedy school in Canada, and the Rethink Group is corporate training company, which has grown to include clients from 16 countries including Canada, Switzerland, and England. Hello, Mr. Stephen. Welcome you to EIY education session tonight.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and I'm very
Yeah,
excited to connect with you and your audience.
definitely, Mr. Stephen. And hi, everyone. In case that you have any question to our live stream session tonight related to the topic humor at work, please make sure you're gonna comment on our comment section so that Mr. Stephen can help to address your questions. Now, Mr. Stephen, why is this topic important to our target audience, the one who is listening to us right now?
Well, it's always important because, especially in the context of a pandemic, you want to be able to not stress more than you have to. You want to be able to enjoy and communicate effectively, and if you can make people laugh, it's one of the best ways to connect with audiences anywhere, with your family, with your colleagues at work, with friends at a restaurant. It's been a very hard pandemic, anyways, so we might as well laugh and smile. It just makes it a lot more easier to carry.
So it is really important at this time because it can release tension that we are having during the time of COVID-19, right?
Yeah, that is correct. Laughter releases endorphins and it just gets everybody in a good mood. So if everybody's in a better mood than average, it's easier to communicate, it's easier to collaborate, that it's easier to work together, and as a result, then it creates a win-win situation.
I see. Very interesting point. What is the role of humor in workplace, and can we work without humor?
Well, it's a very good question. So the role of humor in the workplace, I've always had humor in the places that I've worked with. I worked at a bank for 7 years and I made everybody laugh on my floor. But you have to be very careful because it depends on the culture as well. How you make people laugh may impact the way that the joke or that the conversation goes. Because, for example, I went to do a TEDx talk to Malaysia, and humor in Malaysia is different than humor in Canada. It's different than humor in Mexico, different than humor in Australia, maybe, and different than humor in Belgium.
Mm,
So I'm not trying to say that you should investigate every single humor of every single country that you're going to talk to. But what I'm trying to say is there are nuances in every culture that will affect the way you communicate with others. But just on just the best tip I can give you for any culture is avoid talking about sex, religion, or politics. Very simple. Do not talk about sex, religion, or politics, and you're going to be very safe. The other rule of thumb that I give people is do not make fun of, or do not make fun of people who can't defend themselves. In other words, do not punch down, but punch up to people who have abused power. So, for example, I'm Latino. I'm from Latin America. And Donald Trump has made fun of Latinos, or has said that a lot of people are drug dealers, very bad people. So if, as a Latino, I make fun of Donald Trump, I am punching up at someone in power who has abused power. That's punching up. But if I punch down at communities that have been marginalized, or if I punch down at people who can't defend themselves, then it's not that funny. Safe is punch up to people, make fun of people who have abused their power. Do not punch down at people who can't defend themselves. Those are safe rules, and you won't get into a lot of trouble. Now, the more you do comedy, the more you are on stage, the more you do stand-up, the better you get at it. But I realize that the majority of your audience is not even a comedian.
Yeah.
But they do have jobs. So what I would say is be yourself and carry a little notebook with you, if you can, or on your cell phone, and take notes of every time you get a laugh from colleagues, from friends. And then review it on a weekly basis. Review your notebook and think every time, like, why was this funny? And chances are there's going to be some truth and some pain in it. There's many ways to see comedy, but if we had to put it into a formula, comedy equals truth plus pain. So when people laugh, it's because there's truth in what you said. Like, oh, yeah, that happened to me. It's relatable. Yeah. It's funny because it's true. Or because there's pain. And you're sharing your pain. And you connect with audiences, with people through your pain. And people laugh because they're like, oh, I guess my life isn't as bad as I thought it was. Their life is worse. So that's why when you see a stand-up comedy show, they're not talking about beautiful things, because beautiful things are not funny. But pain is funny. Truth is funny. And then the other reason why people could laugh, so another way to see the formula, truth plus pain, another way to see it is tragedy plus time. So if something like tragic happens to you, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a death or anything big, but like, I don't know, you got fired, or you got into a fight on the street, or you fell in front of a bunch of people, and enough time has gone by, now you feel comfortable to talk about it. And because you're comfortable and enough time has passed from the tragedy, now you can smile and you can laugh at yourself. And because you can laugh at yourself, at your pain, then others laugh at it too. So that's a really good way. And then there's purely an element of timing as well. Comedy, a lot of people say comedy is timing. So you say something at the right time, or with the right tonality, or with the right rhythm, and people will laugh. For example, I'm not going to say anything, but just picture it. Somebody will change the rhythm of what they're saying, and people will laugh. So for example, somebody could say, na 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 na, boing. So just the change of rhythm makes people laugh, like boing. So that change of rhythm will make people laugh. And the one thing that is always present in laughter is an element of surprise. One of the main reasons why people laugh is because they don't expect it. And the best punches are punches where people laugh in the sentence, the punch is where is the word that you say that gets people to laugh. The best punches are unexpected in nature. So there you get a comedy lesson in 5 minutes in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, we have several questions over here, Mr. Stephen. The first one is that you mentioned about punch up and punch down. Do we have
Yes.
any psychological reasons behind why is it harder to punch up rather than punch down? That is the first
Well,
question. The first
it's
question.
not harder, it's just better because, for example, if I'm on stage in front of 1,000 people or in front of 100 people or in front of 50 people, I'm doing a show, and I make fun of Donald Trump or I make fun of a politician or somebody who has abused their power, nobody's going to be like, oh, why are you making fun of Donald Trump? Especially because Donald Trump already made fun of Latinos. I can make fun of him. But if I'm on stage in front of 1,000 people and I'm making fun of a person with Down syndrome, everybody's going to be like, whoa, like, why are you making fun of a person that has Down syndrome or of gay people or of trans people or of people with cancer? Like, that's not funny. Everybody's gonna be like, whoa, why are you talking about that? Granted, there are comedians who talk about that, but we're talking about being safe when you my comedy is like very, very family friendly, clean comedy. Obviously, there's comedians who make fun of these marginalized groups, but it's safe when you punch up at people who have abused their power, because nobody's going to be like, whoa, why are you making fun of this politician who has abused their power, or this friend who betrayed you, or I don't know, anything that has already abused their power. So you punch up at people in power and you don't punch down at people who cannot defend themselves. Because if you do, nobody's going to laugh. This is instead of getting this reaction, you're going to get this reaction. Oh, whoa, what? That's bad. Like, what? And it's going to get a cringe reaction instead of a laughter. It's going to be like, and people are going to shut down. You can't jeopardize your credibility on stage. Remember, you got to be liked for people to laugh at what you're saying. But if you're making fun of people who can't defend themselves, you're not going to be liked, and people are going to check out immediately. They're not going to laugh anymore. They might even leave your show.
I think that is about intimidating the person that who is at lower level. And if we do that, it's just like that we are intimidating that person and the audience may not like it.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, there's some people who do it really well. I mean, not intimidating, but making fun of marginalized groups. Now, there's a difference. Like, for example, a marginalized group in the context of Trump and Latinos obviously is the Latinos. That's the victim. So I could make fun of Trump, but for example, but it's like another thing that can't be done, or it can, but it's very, very shaky and risky, is where are you on the privilege scale, on the privilege ladder? For example, if a white person makes fun of black people, it's not good. It's going to be very, very, very shaky. But because black people have traditionally been marginalized and abused by white people in power for hundreds of years. But if a black comedian on stage makes fun of white people, that's punching up at the power. I mean, at least at the white people who abuse their power. It obviously depends on the context of the joke. As a Latino, I can maybe make fun of black people or Asian people or or other people, but it's still a little bit shaky. It's gotta be one hell of a joke to be able to convince my audience to laugh with me. But if I make fun of Latinos who are marginalized people, it's okay because I'm Latino, so I can make fun of my own people in many ways. Now we're getting into it depends. It depends on the context of the joke, of the context of the show, the context of everything. I mean, if you're really, 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 really good, you could do anything on stage. You just have to convince people to laugh with you, and that's the hardest part. Dave Chappelle is really good at that. Obviously, it comes with a lot of controversy, but you can't deny that he's really, really good at that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing detailed information related to punch up and punch down, Mr. Stephan. The next question is that why is humor associated with culture? And if a corporate professional is working in a multinational corporations, which is a diverse culture, how can we make sure that we can create humor in that diverse culture like that?
Yeah, so the safest thing, again, is don't talk about sex, politics, or religion. The other thing is be really aware of cultural nuances. For example, I didn't know, which is on me, when I went to Malaysia and I did my TEDx talk, there was a lot of people who wanted to take pictures with me and my business partner after the talk. So in Latin America, we're very touchy and we hug people, we hug everybody. So I went and there was like, I don't know, 5 women and 2 guys or 3 guys who wanted to take a picture. And I went and hugged them. But you can't do that in Malaysia, in some parts of Southeast Asia, because I don't like, there's a Muslim community there. It depending on religion and culture, you can't touch other people. But in Latin America, we touch everybody. We hug everybody. Another example is I would sometimes talk to women because looking in their eyes, because in my culture, looking eye to eye is a sign of respect. But in other cultures, such as the Muslim culture in some countries, women or people only see eye to eye with their significant others, with their partners. So I would look in their eye and they would look the other way, and I'd be like, why are we not looking eye to eye? So it's very important to not jump into making humor right away when you meet someone, because you have to understand where they're coming from. It may be an incredible joke, but they might not find it funny because of their values and their culture and their religion. So stay away from race, politics, race, politics, sex, and religion. And also, a very safe way to start humor in the workplace is by making fun of yourself. And there, you're not humiliating, you're not risking anything because you're making fun of yourself. This is called self-deprecating humor. So if I make fun of the fact that I'm balding or the fact that I've gained weight over the pandemic or other things, I'm just making fun of myself, and I'm being vulnerable. I'm being real, I'm being authentic. And that usually it gets people to laugh. And it makes me really just like a regular, approachable guy, very down to earth. So a very safe way, again, don't talk about sex, race, politics, or religion. Do not jump into doing humor right away with somebody you meet, because there's a lot of things in play. And in the workplace, you can just make fun of yourself first and see how people react. Because again, there's so many things in play that if I say something, it might not apply. Because I mean, you may be a lawyer, or you may be a construction worker, or you may be an engineer, or you may be a soccer player, or you may be an executive assistant, or you could be a marathon runner. I mean, there's different workplaces. But what I just said, I think it's a safe place to start.
I see, that's interesting. And do you think that humor can reduce professionalism at workplace? Because Sometimes we use humor when we are at relaxing moment. And do you think so? Another question is that for those introvert people, how can they expose themselves and create humor at workplace?
Can you repeat the first question again?
The first question is, do you think that humor can reduce professionalism at workplace?
So if humor can make you look less professional, is that the question? That's a really good question. So again, I come from a culture in Latin America where the old school mentality, very similar to Asian culture, I believe. I mean, I know there's different cultures in Asia, but on average, I would say, where if you look like you're having fun at work, people misinterpret that and they assume that you're not working. And that really got me angry when I worked at the bank because I made everybody laugh at my floor. And I got some feedback where they were like, you can make, my boss, who was a great person, said to me one time, it's okay if you do it in our team because you make us laugh. It's just a small team of 5, but when you're with the vice presidents and the executives, don't be like that because they're gonna assume that you're not working, that you're just like, yeah, having fun, making everybody laugh, and they're gonna confuse that with uh apathy, with not being interested, like with whatever. I don't care if everything happens, I'm happy. I don't care if work goes well. So that really got me angry because I'm like, why can't I be an exceptional worker and have fun, you know? So I think it's just a matter of timing. If you're laughing and joking all day, then unfortunately, even if you're doing a great job, like I was, people may think that you're not doing your job, which I mean, I don't like that, but it's the truth. And so you can pick certain times of the day when people are more relaxed, or maybe after lunch when people are just a little bit more relaxed. The body's doing um, so after lunch. I think it's a relaxed time, or in the morning in North America. Everybody goes everybody gets coffee. So in the coffee run, you could joke a little bit, or after lunch, or during lunch when people are not very focused. But if everybody's like really focused, doing something very important, and you're joking around, then it doesn't even matter if the joke is funny. You're interrupting them. So it's just a matter of timing. So pick specific moments of the day. What I used to do is I wrote my jokes at work. I had an agenda where I thought like, oh, this could be funny. Everybody's gonna think it's funny. So then I had like a lot of things, and I would just pick when to say them, not as soon as I thought of them, but I would write them, and then I would say them when I thought it was a good time. And then to the introvert question, how can introverts be more funny or use humor to their advantage? Again, I think a very safe place to start is making fun of yourself. So there's a lot of things that people see that you do, but they never point it out because they don't know if you know that about yourself. But if you point it out, if you make fun of your truth or your pain, they're gonna love it. And remember, you don't have to test it in like high stakes situations. You don't have to test it in front of 20 people in a big meeting. You can just test it with the person sitting next to you at work. And if they find it funny, others might find it funny. So self-deprecating humor is a very good place to start. And the other is that typically, not always, but introverts are very no tonality change, zero vocal variety. So they don't have a lot of facial expressions. They don't have a lot of body language. So they're like, no, 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 no. So even if you have an incredible joke, that's not funny. So try to add vocal variety, like change your voice a little bit instead of going like no, 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 and change your face a little bit. and your body. So your body has to accompany what you're trying to say, because the majority of communication is how you look and how you sound. And only 10% of communication, or 10 to 20%, is what you say. So you could have the best joke, but if you're saying it like this, it's not that funny. Look at my face here. This face right here is a lot of, yeah, where is it? Right here. That's why I use that face always in my promotion, because it's like a lot of expressions. And if you smile, people smile. But if you're like, nobody's gonna smile. People are just a reflection of you.
Okay, very interesting, and I do appreciate so much for those useful information, Mr. Stephen. For the rest of the time, could you please give us one kind of humor so that we can enjoy your humorous show?
I'm putting you on my Instagram stories, and say hi. Say hi to my Instagram stories.
Hi. Yeah.
Okay, so what? Do you want me to say a joke? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
yeah, maybe
let
it
me
just
see.
around 3 to 4 minutes.
No, I'm not. It's a lot. 4 minutes is a lot. You would have to go on YouTube and check out my stand-up comedy. But I can tell you a short one-liner, because it's hard to perform right here, and it wouldn't do justice. Also, and I charge I charge money for my performance, but I'll give you one joke, which is an example of a one-liner. So how does a one-liner work? A one-liner is a joke that is one line. So typically, one-liners are very short and they have a very quick punch. So it goes like this. So let me see. Looking for a job in Canada was very hard. Very hard because Canadians ask very hard questions in interviews. So basically, I went to my first interview. I studied finance. I went to an interview at a bank, and in it, they asked me a lot of questions about acronyms. Oh, do you have a master's degree? Do you have an MBA? Do you have a CFA? Do you have a CA? Do you have a PMP? Do you have a PhD? And I was like, oh my God, what is this? What? So I responded, well, as a kid, I had ADD. In university, one time I contracted an STD. At nights I watch HBO and MTV, and I love to listen to AC/DC. But those I don't have. So that's a very simple example of a one-liner, and about my truth and my pain, which is it was very hard to find a job in Canada because I never understood what they were asking in interviews. So that's a very short 25-30 second joke. Now, again, it's North American. I don't know if it's funny in Asia, but because you may not have this experience, but it may be. I don't know. It may be. I may have to go perform to Vietnam.
Yeah, you're right. Well, for the last 1 minute, do you have any final question that you would like to share with our viewers tonight, Mr. Stephen?
Well, no specific questions, but if they have any questions for me, they can add me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and they can message me, and I'll happily answer any of these questions. On my Instagram and my LinkedIn, I always post the workshops that I teach. I have a workshop called Public Speaking Through Comedy, where you learn 25 tips and techniques on how to become a funny, confident speaker. And at the end of the 7-week course, it's online, you do a 5-minute graduation show of stand-up comedy with your other 8 friends. So you do the show, you make a lot of people laugh online, and then you can use this to make people laugh at work, to connect with audiences through humor, and to get people to listen and remember you in a better way.
Yeah, sure. That is very grateful address for our viewers here to contact you after our live stream session. And hi everyone, thank you so much for watching EIY education session tonight. And we hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.